Welcome to Without Bias.
Apia, the go-to insurance for retirees. Call 135050. Get set, go. Local legends want it. A bowls green is just up the road. Search Bowls Club near me.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to our dedicated Lawn Bowls show, part of the Sporting Capital on SEN Without Bias. Local legends are wanted. Search bowls clubs near me to get yourself involved in this great game. Now, plenty happening in the bowls world at the moment. We're still just revelling in the announcements of our team, the Jackaroos that are heading over to represent Australia to the Com Games in Birmingham. And also the Australian Open is on at the moment. For all the live streaming coverage, you can head to the Bowls Australia Facebook page. And all thanks to the Right Care right at home. Always a pleasure to catch up with this man who I'm sure is jumping out of his skin to get to his third Commonwealth Games. He is a bronze medalist in 2006. He got two silver medals in 2018 on the Gold Coast. I speak of our very good friend, Barrie Lester. Hello, mates.
Good evening, Sam. How are you, mate?
Good, buddy. I know we spoke recently, but I just want to congratulate you again on your selection to head to Birmingham. What does it mean to you to head to your third Commonwealth Games?
Oh, you definitely have to consider COVID and what it did to many Australians, I guess, and people around the world from the mental side of things. It tested me at times about, putting in the training and the commitment of, being away, the tournaments, the championships, and just putting in the time and effort to know that, there's something in front of us that, is unnormal and unnatural. And at times I thought, do I maybe pause for a second, or do I keep going? And Gary Willis and the high performance team we've got at Bowls Australia really helped us athletes with Sam Cox, our resource and sort of human relations manager, just get through those sort of tricky moments when you're second guessing different stages. And that was a moment for me where I just thought, well, I believe that I can still play at my best. And I was selected in the last five-a-side being the World Championships. And that got cancelled due to COVID. And I thought, no, I'm really keen to push as hard as I can to try and make this Commonwealth Games team. And here we are, mate. I'm absolutely over the moon and really keen to be, I hate to say it, be the oldest player in the team, but a player that has to show a bit of experience and leadership and help as much as I can on and off the green.
Your first Com Games, though, outside of Australia, I'd imagine that presents a unique challenge that I'm sure you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I've grabbed some old games from my experiences over in Hong Kong. I've visited Hong Kong, I think, 2012 and 13, and just trying to draw off, just watching some of those games and the type of style, the delivery, the technique, playing on sort of the slow Northern Hemisphere greens, and just use as much experience as I can. So, yeah, unbelievable to think I'm playing a Commonwealth Games overseas, and the fact that you have to play on their greens and come up against some local crowds that hopefully aren't cheering too loud for the opposition.
You've been a mainstay of the Jackaroos for a long time, Baz, but were there nerves around selection for this Com Games? How were you feeling when you found out and in the build-up too?
Most definitely, yeah. I'll be honest. I had a little ulcer on my tongue, and I said to one of my teammates, I said, that's a sign that in a couple of days, obviously the team's getting picked, that just the nerves are starting to kick in. And he turned to me and he said, wow, that's full on, even with your experience and the fact you've been around. I said, yeah, nothing can change that situation of, being days out of a huge selection and just, that's what overcomes you, just a bit of nerves and a bit of anxiety. And when you read the message that says your name's in there, two things, first of all, come to mind is obviously you're very happy to be picked and very excited and all that. But you can't ignore the fact that some people have missed out, and your heart goes out to them straight away because some of them are your best friends and obviously part of our Jackaroos family. So you think of them straight away, and then we all know that we've got each other's back.
So the greens, we know, going to be very different to what they are here in Australia, a lot slower than what we're used to. How do you find the transition? I know that there's been the almost the study trip over to the UK about a month ago, but how do you find transitioning from the fast to the slow?
Yeah, I was very fortunate being when I was in Victoria. I worked a lot with a guy called Mark Cowan, very experienced player, won a couple hundred state games, very well accredited coach, and he would help me a lot on the slow greens. And I worked a lot with Ian Ewing and Robbie Dobbins, and then of course before Gary Willis took over, Steve Glasson with his experience of being a world champion on the Northern Hemisphere green. So I try to draw off as much experience from those kind of people that have helped me along the way, and little tips about, maybe just extending your backswing and standing up a bit taller or holding your step and stuff like that. So I have to have that in the forefront of my mind immediately before I step onto those Northern Hemisphere greens. And then now we're very lucky, part of our high-performance team, we've got three-time Commonwealth Games gold medalist in Alan Faulkner. He joined our team. We've got Andy Thompson and, of course, Karen Murphy is assistant coach. And, so we're surrounded by some legends that have done it all on those slow greens. And we've got to draw off as much experience they've got in the game and try and use that to the best of our ability. And we used the last trip over there, Sam, to really gain as much knowledge of the surfaces, the rinks, because there's 5 bowling greens over there, and every rink is slightly different. So to gain all that information and then to use the best of our ability when we go back there next month is what it's all about.
You're having a really nice build-up. Obviously, it gets started at the end of July, the Com Games. So you've had you've had success in the BPL for the first time. The Trans-Tasman against New Zealand was a great hit-out. We wiped the green. We wiped them off the green. Now the Australian Open on at the moment. You've progressed through nicely to the sectional stage in both the singles and the pairs. How have you been finding this obviously this in itself is an incredibly prestigious event, but it couldn't have come at a better time with what's to come. So you're up against the very best that Australia has to offer.
Yes, I think for me personally, and I said it going into the UK tour, was just to stay sharp, match fit, and with your mind in the game, because it is good to have a week or two off just to freshen up, but it's still good to keep your mind sort of sharp. So for me, heading to Birmingham the last trip a couple of months back, I really wanted to keep my mind sharp, and that's how I felt since I've come back. And even though we've gone into different surfaces, but I feel just staying match fit, having your mind on the job, and just trying to keep an even balance, Sam, between family, work, life. I'm very spoiled. I've got really good supporters around me, and having the support of the Burleigh Heads Bowls Club, my employer, to support me in being away so much. So without all the people around you, you can't do what you do. And yeah, you're right. It was a great preparation to go up to Mount Tambourine. They performed beautifully the greens around something similar to what Birmingham is. And yeah, we had a great series against New Zealand, and those greens themselves were nearly identical. So it was a great prep. We've got a lot of confidence out of BPL, my form there, and being able to get the win. And so far, so good in the Australian Open. It's arguably the most hardest event in the world to win. And so far, Corey Wedlock and I are through in the pairs. I snuck through in the singles, and I join a few good players tomorrow in the fours at my home club at Burleigh Heads.
So normally you play with Gary Kelly in the pairs all around the place in various events, but you're with fellow Jackaroo Corey Wedlock, which is a really strong team. And then the team that you've got for the fours is unbelievable. Yourself, Corey Wedlock, Aaron Tees, and Aaron Sheriff. If you're not coming out of there with the title, Baz, I reckon it'd be safe to say you'd feel you'd underperformed.
Well, I've made 2 fours finals in the past, and it's something I must admit I'm really keen to do well in. The beauty of what we're doing tomorrow is we're all really good mates. We get along really well. We've got a lot of history together, and we'll make sure we go out there and back each other up. But you're right. Some people would say that we should go really deep, and we hope to do so. But it's still a little bit of the football analogy there, Sam. Game by game, sort of end by end. But in bowls, the numbers are so good this year. They're record numbers. There's thousands of lawn bowlers on the Gold Coast right now. It's so great for the tourism and the area. So what the impact it's having on the area is fantastic. And for us to get up there, get into Burleigh Heads tomorrow and play against quality teams, we can't take anyone lightly because there's so many big names and great teams in the field. So we'll be trying our best, but make sure we just go out there and have a good time and see what happens.
Baz, always great to catch up with you. Before I let you go, what would it mean for you to win another Australian Open crown? this year. You've had success here before. What would it mean to do it again?
As I said, Sam, I think probably the Australian Open under various conditions, even though the weather's perfect at the moment, is probably the hardest tournament in the world to win, across a couple of weeks. So for me, I'll put it right up there. Outside of probably winning a World or Commonwealth Games title with my fellow Jackaroos, winning an Australian Open title with your mates is probably nothing better, mate. So if I can achieve that this year or in future years to come, mate, I'll cherish it forever.
You're a good man. Hey, good luck with what's to come over in Birmingham. I know you'll do us proud. I know how much representing your country and playing for the Jackaroos means to you, and I know you'll do them, the country, the estate, and the good town of Bendigo every bit of service, and you'll do them proud, mate. Go well.
Yeah, for sure, mate. And shout out to Wedderburn and Wedderburn Golf Club, my first club I ever played at, and that's right, proud Bendigo boy, and so are you, and thanks for having me on the show, Sam. Always
a pleasure. Barrie Lester on Without Bias for the right care, right at home. Right at Home, the official naming rights partner of the Australian Jackaroos, and of course for Bowls Australia. Local Legends Wanted at Bowls Green is just up the road. Search Bowls clubs near me and you might just end up being the next Barrie Lester. From one Jackaroo to another, Carl Healey also at the Australian Open. He made his first Jackaroo squad a year and a half ago. COVID has meant that he hasn't been able to represent his country yet, but he will be able to very, very soon when he heads over to Birmingham for the 2022 Commonwealth Games. He's our next guest on the other side of this on Without Bias.
This is Without Bias.
APIA, the go-to insurance for retirees. Call 135050. Get set, go. Local legends wanted. A Bowls Green is just up the road. Search Bowls Club near me.
Welcome back to Without Bias, proudly brought to you by APR, proudly supporting Bowls Australia. Before we welcome in our next guest, just a quick bit of breaking news. The AFL has ticked off Melbourne's handling of the Stephen May-Jake Melksham fight that occurred at Entrecôte Restaurant Sunday week ago. They will impose no further sanctions on either player. So the AFL has conducted their own investigation and they've ticked off Melbourne's handling. They've released a statement too that's up on their website. So no further sanctions to be imposed on Stephen May or Jake Melksham. Hey, let's welcome in our next guest on Without Bias. Thanks to APIA, proudly supporting Bowls Australia. He's had to wait a fair while to make his debut as a Jackaroo. He was put into the squad over a year and a half ago. COVID meant that it's going to be a Birmingham Commonwealth Games debut for Carl Healey. He's been good enough to jump on the line with us. G'day, Carl.
G'day, Sam. How you going?
Hey, congratulations on the selection. How much does this mean to you?
Oh, this is huge. It's the dream of. It should be the dream of every Australian lawn bowler. It's certainly mine. It's just something that you can't expect. It's just something that comes out of dreams.
You went on the tour of the UK. It was about a month ago now. Were you expecting, off the back of how you performed there, that you were in line for selection?
Oh, I think all the players that went over there were in line for selection. Just the tour was about taking your opportunities, and personally, I felt I performed quite well, and just basically put my best foot forward and leave it up to the Australian selectors.
There's the old saying, the good things come to those who wait. Not many have had to wait as long as you since making the Jackaroo squad to actually make your debut. It's going to mean something pretty special to you, I would have thought.
Absolutely. It's something sort of like you said. I've waited a while for. So I'm just keen to rip in. To be fair, there's a lot of talk, a lot of hype. Just want to get over there and play for these gold medals.
We asked Barrie Lester just a little while ago about the slower conditions over there. They really are very different, the greens that you'll be doing your work on. You and Ben Twist, you've been practising down at Penrith Bowls Club. What's that done to help you, and what is it about the Penrith greens that so replicate the English ones that you're going to face in Birmingham?
I used to work at Penrith Bowling Club as a greenkeeper a few years ago, and just with a really strong connection there, they were happy to help out and prepare a surface for us. What it did was it gave us the ability to practice our technique heading over to the UK. Obviously, the greens aren't exactly the same, but pace-wise, you're able to get your technique right heading over there, and then you can work on the smaller things when you get there. So no, they've been great. And I was speaking to the CEO, Julie Smith, the other day. She was over the moon that two players that trained at her club have made the squad. Absolutely wrapped.
Yeah, no, they would be. They'd be very proud, and so they should be. Carl Healey, our guest for our second segment on Without Bias, thanks to Apia, proudly supporting Bowls Australia. You're in action at the moment, Carl, with the Australian Open on the Gold Coast. You've advanced to the men's singles and the pairs as well. How have you found the event over the first 4 days?
Oh, the event's been fantastic. Typical Gold Coast weather, very sunny. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful weather, and the greens are even better.
We might need to get you to tone down the weather bragging at the moment, Carl, because it is absolutely horrific in Melbourne today. It's as bad as it gets.
I've heard that. Yeah, no good.
Good for you though.
Stay safe.
Good for you though. Hey, you and Bro Prideaux look like you're bowling pretty well in tandem together.
Yeah. Bo's in our emerging squad, Australian emerging squad. He's playing really well at the moment. He's going well enough to carry me. So no, we're having good fun, and we're getting better with each game.
As I said, we spoke to Baz before about the fours team that he's managed to put together. Some pretty big names in there, and Wedlock and Tees. And players of that ilk along with Baz himself. Your lineup looks pretty handy as well. Just take us through your fours lineup.
Yeah, so leading up we'll probably have Nathan Pedersen, either Gary Kelly or myself will play second and third respectively. And we'll probably get Wayne Rudiger skipping the rink, I think.
Oh, that's very... And you four would fancy yourself up against those... You know, Sheriff, Lester, Wedlock, Tees, you guys would fancy yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, like we've pretty much got our names on the trophy, to be fair. No, we're gonna have a good hit out. It's the first time we've all played together, really, so it's going to be good fun.
So I find it really interesting that you've just spoken to us about what you've had to do down at Penrith, you and Ben Twist, on the much slower greens, getting ready for what's to come in late July for the Com Games. You've now had to go up the Gold Coast, where I understand they're lightning quick. So how's the adjustment been for you?
Yeah, it's been very interesting, to be fair. Just about slowing down your technique and just getting back to basics. But it has been a bit of a challenge. So really, the mindset's a lot freer. It's just about enjoying ourselves here, and good bowls comes with enjoying yourself. You
got a pretty good track record at the Australian Open, triples gold in 2008. You've had pairs gold in 2018. What does it mean to you?
Oh, like the Australian Open's it's the hooter of Australian bowls. This is where people want to perform, and you've got the strongest calibre of players and the largest amount of players. So to get to the business end of any of these draws is a pretty good effort in itself.
So for you, those are the achievements that at the moment sit highest in the ones that you're most proud of, if you were to put a pecking order together of what you've achieved in your career?
Look, there's many different parts to careers and achievements and stuff like that. They're certainly up there. There's a few other achievements that sort of sit well, especially playing for the New South Wales Blues, winning the Ali Shield a couple of years. That sits up there as well. But as for individual achievements, yeah, the Australian Open's certainly accounts for that.
So, Carl, once the Australian Open's done, how do you fill in your time between now and the end of July? When are you heading over?
So we're heading over early July, so around the 10th, I'd say. Heading back from the Australian Open, probably in the afternoons, get on the slow track at Penrith and get back to that technique that fared so well for me in selection. So, yeah.
Is the other side of this the heading over? I mean, the other thing that hasn't been done before from an Australian team is to win a Northern Hemisphere gold. Is that something that sits at the top of the whiteboard for you guys and being discussed as you're going in there to do a job?
Well, yeah, like I said, it comes down to preparation, and we're going to be one of the best prepared teams heading into the Com Games, and that's that should bring us results. So that's where we're looking at.
Carl, it's coming through in your voice. There's a real resolve, and I get the sense that you're very pumped up for this, and so you should be. Rap for you that you've not only made the squad, but you're going to get to make your debut in the green and gold at a Com Games nonetheless. So good luck with it. Good luck for the rest of the Australian Open, and we'll be watching with great interest with you in action in Birmingham.
Thanks so much, Sam. Appreciate it.
Carl Healey, a year and a half he's had to wait since being put into the Jackaroo squad to make his debut, and he will in Birmingham. But there's just a little job of an Australian Open possible medal he's going to navigate through first. Looking in good shape in the pairs and in the fours as well. Hey, that's it for another Without Bias. Local Legends Wanted, by the way. Bowls Green is just up the road. Search bowls clubs near me. Barrie Lester and Carl Healey were our special guests tonight. If you've missed any of that, you can get on sen.com.au. Head to the podcast page. There's a Without Bias page there, and you can have a listen at your own leisure. Good luck to all those who are competing at the Australian Open at the moment as well. And we will speak to you all again next week, back at the same time at 8:30 on a Tuesday night. Up next, the driver's seat. The great man, Nims, will be with you after this. Have a great night. Stay safe.